Hey guys, Will here, and today we're going to be talking about utility knives. Okay, these are the two utility knives I just got in the mail, so I'm going to just do a slight first impression, slight kind of review, light review on them. The reason I got into utility knives was because on one of my trips, when I was going to Shanghai for sightseeing, that had to go through security, go to the Shanghai Tower, and I forgot that I had a knife with me, and I brought one of the smallest knives that I had with me to China, because it's the smallest. I didn't want to deal with so much hassle and trouble, and I totally forgot that I had it, and I had it in my pocket, and the lady had her little magnetic wand and then kept beeping in my pocket, and I had it in there with a pocket of change. I pulled out the change without the knife, thinking that she might just let it blow over, but she kept beeping in and asked me to pull out whatever's inside, and so I pulled out the knife, and she freaked out for like a minute or so about, oh, you have a knife, whatever. And usually in China, they're kind of lax in non-important areas. Like if you go into the subway, they have security and metal detectors and x-ray machines, but they really don't give a shit, the staff usually, about really doing a good job. So it kind of caught me off guard. And at the end, she ended up giving first she wanted to just hold on to the knife during the time, and then she ended up giving it to my wife, which didn't make sense because she gives it to my wife is just going to give it back to me. So whatever, it didn't make sense. But I thought at the time that wouldn't it be great to have a knife where I can just toss the blade and actually just keep the handle, right? So that way I'm just throwing out the cheap part. And so I thought, it's time to have a utility knife. Okay, so these are the two knives that I got. I got it from this AliExpress EDC store. What is it? Up EDC equipment store, blah, blah, blah. So this, full disclosure, not getting paid by them. They didn't give it to me for free. I didn't get a discount on them. So full, very honest review. Of course, as usual, all the pros and cons of each. Let's start with this TwoSun knife. This TwoSun knife is $23. That's $23 shipped to your door, including shipping worldwide. Is designed by whoever this guy is. Wow, I'm a great reviewer. We have titanium construction, 2-piece. Okay, nice, well chamfered, no hot spots. Jimping, let's see how the jimping is like. A little bit off. You probably could actually fix that if you loosen the Torx nut. If you're really anal, you could fix that alignment. It doesn't matter for me. Not right now, but let's see. A lot of other little small utility use. Phillips head. You can use this for a flathead, I suppose, and a pry bar. These hexagonal shapes are for bolts and nuts and whatever kind of stuff you can fit in there. I don't know how well this stuff actually holds in use. I'm sure that the titanium actually might break down. I think hardened steel might be harder than titanium. But titanium doesn't corrode, and no problem with corrosion, and it's strong and lightweight. This would be the bottle opener right there. So as a handyman person who's tearing up carpets and etc., all this stuff, you could tear up carpets and prying nails out and whatever, and after you're finished with your hard work, and pop of your beer. And it's all in one tool. But yeah, I guess somebody who is doing a lot of hardcore work, they probably wouldn't, this is not for you, obviously. This is for people at EDC to use as emergency stuff. So not really for those kind of plumbers and whatever, but very nice design. Let's see, it's a push button. Actually, I can feel it from here that there is a magnet inside. And let me just say one tip about it, because I know some people actually like heat anodize. You can flame torches with a food torch and just anodize these anodizes titanium that way, which is very easy. But because there's a magnet in there, the heat would actually demagnetize the magnet. So the reason they put the magnets there is to prevent the rattling. Do you hear any rattling? Actually, no. Pretty good, no rattling. Nope, not at all. Let's see, push button action, and then slide it up. Nice greasy, because utility blades can rust. The pros and cons of utility blade, pros and cons. So cons, of course, you don't have the super steels and everything. I guess you just push this button and slide it, and then you just click it into place. Click into place like that. 2 slots on the blade, so it can go into any of those slots. Push in the button, slide it back down, easy. Slide it back down, and it's locked in just like that. So nice action. So let me think about the pros and cons of it, as usual for everything. So cons, let's start with the cons. The negative stuff would be, cons would be that two-hand use. Two-hand use, it's not as easy, not with a folder, not with other designs, not as easy to use. But you can say, one can argue that it's more solid. It's really clicked in like that, so then it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so it's if you're a person who needs one hand, may not be the utility blade for you. But if you're doing a lot of tearing out of boxes, it locks in tight. They got the jimping. This is, I'm looking, the way they made it, it's 2B ergonomic, so you could just hold it like this, and you're tearing down the boxes like that. Of course, you're tearing down hundreds of boxes or thousands of boxes. You probably want a real utility knife, a really full-size one. But in terms of portable EDC utility knives, this is ergonomic, so that's pretty good. So pros: titanium, price $23, a lot of extra tools and uses, not just a simple thing. So those are all good. As you can tell, they're quite small, so let's go with the weight, and we're looking at let's see, in ounce, 1.2 ounce, very light. And the grams, let's just compare that to the McBee, the Spyderco, 36 grams. Okay, Spyderco McBee, 47, so even that weighs more. 1.6 ounce, 1.3 ounce, 1.6, 1.3, so even still lighter than this. Let's see, compare the blades. Well, maybe you have a little bit more blade with that. But you can't remove this blade to toss it if you had to. So as I'm saying with these utility knives, you can toss the blade if you were. The pros of a utility knife, not just for this TuoSun, is you just said you can just run it through all the sort of dirty jobs that you don't want to do with your normal EDC. I know some people are probably willing to do everything with their EDC knife, but maybe you're cutting down carpet, or you're getting like so many packages that it's just all the package tape adhesive is all over your blade, and it's such a pain in the butt. So those are the pros about having the utility knife. And of course, just let me just say, a box cutter is designed for cutting boxes. Do you understand what I mean? This will cut through a box like a laser. And no knife, I don't care how thin the stock, or if it has like a whatever kind of hollow grind or whatever, nothing will cut like a box cutter through boxes. So of course it'll wear out. You would have to replace a blade. So that would be it. Oh, I just thought about another con, if you think it's a con. And that would be that consumable, this extra cost in the blade, but you could, and let me rebut that, you could use a ceramic rod or anything else of your choosing to resharpen the blade. You don't have to toss every blade out if you don't want to. And if you're some kind of hippie eco freak, you might think, oh, you're consuming a product and it's going to the landfill, blah, blah, blah. But metal, and especially this type of metal, it's just going to eventually corrode and eventually go back into the earth from which it's from. So take that, you damn hippies. Let's go into the next knife. This knife, it looks like a SNECX 10 design. What the F? It looks like a SNECX 10 Mono. It looks like it definitely got inspired by that design, which the Mono is like a mono construction, very simple, no screw holes, no extra parts necessary. A very simple minimalistic design, as you can see. Very inspired and almost like a clone, but it's not. It doesn't say SNECX on it, but it kind of looked like a clone. And you have a little thumb. That's different. Well, that's different on it. Let's just put these out here just so you can at least compare the dimensions and stuff like that. So this SNECX looking design is actually as narrow as a Benchmade bug out, but much narrow, as narrow in this way, and this one's wider for more ergonomics. I just want to put that in there before I forget. But very initially, you can feel that this feels much lighter than this TuoSun. So let's get this weight down. Titanium construction as well. 0.9 ounce. Wow. Can you get anything lighter than that? And that's what, even with this stupid thing, I think I'm going to remove in the future. Let's get that into grams. Oh no, it just gained 1 ounce. Is it 1 ounce now? No, just got on a diet. 0.9 ounce. 27 grams. Hot. Yeah, nothing tastes as good as thin looks. Booyah. So this works differently. It has a lock bar design, and so you would push on the blade on the opposite end and it would release it. The blade will release from its position and then go slot into this position, and that's how it holds it. So this has, I just initially tried this out and I was like, this is stupid, because when you push down here, nothing happens. You're like, what the heck? Because that's actually where this is the first probably con of it. It's not where the lock bar actually interfaces and touches with the blade. You would have to push here, and voila, easy to slide. Then now this would have some kind of function, but you don't need this. I'm probably gonna pop it off. Let's see how it's held. It's pushing down at where it interfaces with the lock bar, and comes out like that. And okay, just press fit, so you can just pop it off. And actually, I'm not sure if you can get, maybe someone can chime in if they know where to get blades that have holes punched in like that. I don't know if maybe they actually punch these holes in here from this wherever factory that decided to make this inspired SNECX Mono design. Super light. Even with the blade, you can feel it's much lighter. Very simple, beautiful design. One construction, and let's see, it's already starting to get wear from the sliding. Very good milling, very good finishing. Super smooth, no problems. Tritium slots, that's different. A couple of tritium slots. Maybe I'll put some glow epoxy. Who knows what I'll put in there. Lanyard hold right there. Love it. So, pros and cons of this. Let's get this blade back in. Focus. Thank you. Let's get this blade back in. All right. So, let's go. This thing is $43. More expensive than the TuoSun, but I like the design. I like the one-hand use. So let's go through, and I like the simplicity of it. So pros and cons. Cons, ergonomic. Is this ergonomic? I just feel this. To be honest, this will definitely not be as ergonomic as this TuoSun. Not at all. It won't be as ergonomic. So it's actually for someone who wants something super lightweight, very minimal use, very quick in and out, just like pop it out, cut, pop it back in, and you're done. It's locked in. Yep, it's not gonna come out. Nice and safe. So for that kind of use, very intermittent use, temporary, not cutting down a lot of boxes or tearing out a lot of carpet or whatever you're gonna do with it. Very intermittent use because just the ergonomics is not there. So that's a con. What other cons? Can't think of anything right now. So I think, another con would be is that it's probably not as secure. I guess that's debatable. One can argue. So if you're going to use something like this kind of design, you have to and you're just maybe tearing out something very. I don't think the blade is going to come in because the tension of this is pushing against that. But to make sure, you wouldn't want to push here to release it, but you would want to put pressure on here on the lock bar. So that's something extra to think about. And so maybe you would say this is something super hard, maybe like a carpet. You would think that this is actually going to be just less confidence inspiring. Of course, the blade, it's not gonna be like slight. It's not in your kill zone. It's like your hand is here, the blade's going nowhere near your fingers, so it's not something to worry about it. So, but one can argue that not as secure. let me say another thing, because I know this is a problem with the SNECX design. The blade exposure is super minimal. If you look at that, most of the blades in there. You could, I guess, I don't know how well the blade holds like when you slide in and out of this thing, but you could probably just flip this blade around if one side gets dull. But this is already out to the full amount. Yeah, so you can say that if you're going to open packages and you don't want to damage the inside, this is perfect for it, because look, barely on the first slide the blade's barely coming out, so you're not going to poke it in deep.
Hey, that's what she said.
That's what she said. And then so it's like yeah, it's just not a lot of the blade, so it's a little bit of a waste. Maybe that's just because, yeah, that's because of safety. You just can't make it that way and protect the blade from cutting your hand when it's closed. I'd rather be safe than sorry. So I'm okay. That's just whatever design characteristic of it. It's you're just less of the blade exposed. So pros, let's go with the pros. Price, I would say the price, even though it costs, you would say, almost double as much as this TwoSun one. I like the design. I like that there's no screw holes to F around with. You can just rinse it out or clean it out super easy. Very minimalistic, super lightweight. Nothing to complain about. Especially because I know the real SNECX, which I tried to get, so don't blame me so much for buying a inspired SNECX design, because it's impossible to get his design, which run for 250 or 220, 270, somewhere around there. It's very expensive. Maybe you can say those people are suckers. Maybe I'm a sucker if I was willing to pay for that amount, but at $43 shipped to your door worldwide, I would say that this is a steal for what it is. So I would say the price is a pro. So very clean, minimalistic, price is good. And let me just say, in terms of design, so if in terms of gray area about this, when I was looking into different utility blades, I know there's some out there that cost, like a RUK will cost you $120, I think. They're really expensive. So I know these are very, very well priced and bang for buck. I would say that I discovered another knife design that's also using a lock bar. And I believe that design was out before the SNECX one was. So actually, I think the lock bar design is not his. You can argue that the way exactly this might look is his, but the idea of using a lock bar for this utility blade is I believe it's been done before. I forget what the model is, and if you guys know any models or who came out with the lock bar first, you can chime in, and as well as you can chime in on what's your favorite utility blades out there, or if you wanted to chime in to say that these things are a stupid idea and that why can't you just use a normal folder that has better ergonomics and it can fold and it's one-handed and the steel is better and you can just sharpen it on your own and treat it like crap. If you want to cut through carpet and etc., you can just do those things if you're just willing to. So what is the Benchmade run for nowadays? 120, I think. So I don't know. It's determined by the user, but they're very portable. If you don't use a knife very often, the utility blade is going to be all you need. So I think they're very useful. For me, myself, the trump card of a utility blade is the ability to pull out. I'm not sure which one is going to be my dedicated, but the ability to pull out the blade, and then you're just left with, let me just pull these out. And you're just left with just that. And those are not weapons. Those are tools or something. Oh, what is that? That's a pry bar. This is just EDC tool. These are not knives, so you don't confiscate it. You cannot confiscate this. So I love the idea that it's kind of like you accidentally maybe went to some kind of government building security, just toss a blade and you go in there and you don't have to worry about losing your knife, or you're traveling and it's like, I know like some different places are like very critical, like I think like Korea or something like that, like you can't even have a knife. And I guess UK, you can't have a locking knife. You can just have have the utility of a knife, and they're super useful. I'm telling you, they're super useful when you own and you use them. They're super useful, but you just don't want to get in trouble. And this is a very good solution to it. So I believe that's a very good trump card for that. And these particular designs, when I was looking at different utility blades, some of them actually kind of screwed in, or with a Torx, or they screw in with something. I very intentionally picked designs that I can pull the blade out fast and just toss it, right? And you don't want to toss it into the children's playground or something like that, but you can just toss it. Maybe you can throw it under like a brick or something like that and just pick it up later, right? You can do something like that, or you can just toss it into the garbage can and end up, dissolving into the environment later. So you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much it. Of course, if you like this content, you should subscribe so you can see more content like this. Or if you just appreciate this one video, you can also subscribe or like, or both, of course. And those are free to do, and those show your appreciation, and those are driving force for me to make more videos. I don't get paid for this. I'm not getting paid anything. So everything I buy, I usually, even if like you have videos where like I sort of hate something or like more critical about it, I usually kind of still like it or still find it useful. I'm very kind of critical on what I buy, that I do the research and I believe that the product is like something very unique, or at least bang for buck. So I believe these are actually quite good. $23, $43, they're very good. I'll probably end up getting a real SNECX design later on when he does his production line, which is around $100. Yeah, I'm a fool. I will pay $100 something probably for his some other design that he will make that's made out of titanium. But very good quality on these. Not to go too much politics about it, but and not to digress too much, but China, in terms of knives, they're sort of like, I wouldn't say they're the made in Japan of the knife world, but they ended up being like the full spectrum. They not only make like the cheapo rubbish knives, but they make some of the best knives in the world. They have the technology, they have the machines to do it, and they're willing to do it at very good prices. So much fan of some Chinese knives. So thanks again. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. See you later.